Kid Rock. Some love him, some hate him, but everyone's got an opinion. He's been around for nearly 25 years and has sold tens of millions of albums as his sound has evolved from hip-hop to nu metal to country. But does he suck? That's the question we're going to argue today on Prisoners of Rock and Roll. On one hand, he sings, he raps, and he plays multiple instruments. He likes soul, country, rock and roll, and blues music. On the other hand, he's becoming a character of himself. He's embraced a certain kind of redneck culture that just turns some people off. He's been accused of cultural appropriation and insensitivity, and his music can be a little formulaic and repetitive. So where does that leave us? Is Kid Rock a good musician or not? Does he evolve his sound, or is he a pandering musical used car salesman? It's a question that's up for debate, and that's exactly what we're going to do today on today's episode of Prisoners of Rock and Roll. We're going to listen to some of his biggest hits over the years, and we're going to try to answer the question once and for all, does Kid Rock suck? What's up, everyone? Welcome to Prisoners of Rock and Roll, episode number 62. My name is Bruce Kramer, and I'm behind the mic tonight with my good friend and fellow music aficionado, Mr. Ryan McCusker.
Are you rockin'?
Prisoners of Rock and Roll is part of the Pantheon Podcast Network, and we're sponsored by Boldfoot Socks and McCusker's Tavern in Philadelphia. Be sure to like, share, and follow us on your favorite podcast platform or on YouTube. What's going on, brother?
Nothing, brother. Just, waiting for some better weather. Maybe hit the beach early this year. I don't know. What have you been up to?
Yeah, man, I'm doing all right. It's was a spring break last week, so took my camper out, Pennsylvania, central PA. Spent the week kind of just chilling out and recharging. It was nice. Did a little bit of work while I was there, and listened to a lot of Kid Rock to get ready for this episode.
Yeah, man, Kid Rock's been around a long time, dude.
He has, and I had forgotten how long the intro to that Ba with the Ba song is. I just had to play it for like a minute and a half just to get to the My Name is Kid Rock. Yeah, dude, this is something else that's been on the topic list for a while. Does he, is he good? Does he suck? It's kind of a follow-up to we did an episode on does Rush suck or not, and just kind of thought that was just a cool topic idea. We're like, let's do some more shows on that kind of avenue.
I mean, he is a character. Period. At the end, he's a character. I think he's pretty talented, dude. I think he's a brilliant businessman. He just doesn't shut up.
Yeah, it's and we're gonna try to not get into the politics. Well, we should try to not get into all the politics, but it's really hard, man. Just
he brings it in his music, man.
Yeah, especially recent. Like the last album, dude, is really heavy into it. And even trying to go on YouTube, I always try to find like interviews of the artists that we're talking about or, watch some stuff. And it's impossible to put him in YouTube and just not see. Yeah, I mean, shit, everything was about, he's in the news a lot right now because all that controversy with Bud Light. And it's like, that was every video that was looking at him. Like, dude, I just want to see like I want to hear an interview with him talking about music or something like that. It was hard to find.
Without getting political, Bruce, can you please explain to me this whole Bud Light thing?
Yeah. Budweiser signed like a promotion, or they did they made a promotional can for a transgender person named Dylan Mulvaney. And some people take some issues with Dylan Mulvaney he's kind of a caricature of a woman, just kind of the way he acts and everything like that. And so a lot of conservative people took issue with that. And Kid Rock made a video where he had a couple of cases of Bud Light on like a table out on his ranch outside of Nashville. And he was like, fuck Bud Light. And then he shot it with I believe it was an AR-15. It was some sort of semi-automatic rifle. and he just lit it up, and then that got all over the news. So it's been really controversial, kind of what's been going on. But that's also, Kid Rock is a very, I don't know, I was telling you last night, like he's like a modern Ted Nugent with his politics and his mouth and everything else. So
I think right now his mouth is his worst enemy. I mean, he's like Donald Trump of rock and roll. Like he just doesn't know when to shut up.
Yeah, and that's a good point, because I saw something before, like people have always said, like in psychology, there's that part of your brain called the id that's like impulsive. And they said, like, Donald Trump is like that of politics. And Kid Rock is like that too. He's pompous. He's a little egotistical, or he says he's very brash with the things he says, or
no, he's over the top. He's over the top, you know?
And whether that's him or not, I mean, there's a difference between the real dude and Kid Rock as I don't know if that's a character he's playing or it's really him, but
it's really hard to tell show business, that's like a 24-hour gig being a rock star. So you always have to be on. I think he's kind of being himself more these days than he was 20 something years ago. He grew up in Detroit, but dude, you go like 20 minutes outside of Detroit and it's real Hickville, USA. Not to insult our listeners that are like in the middle of nowhere, but coming from a South Philly guy, Kid Rock, the furthest thing he did was come from like a city avenue or anything like that. He grew up on like his parents' ranch.
Yeah, his parents were upper middle class. His dad owned a couple car dealerships. You can see pictures on the internet still of the house he grew up in, and it's like, shit, it's way nicer than what I live. It's
no, it's absolutely. I mean, I think his whole beginnings was all gimmick. He came out right when Vanilla Ice came out.
Yes. And he was compared to Vanilla Ice a lot, and he hated it.
Well, you couldn't help it, though. He had some weird haircut at the time.
He grew up in this upper middle class, and then he got into hip-hop music in the 80s, and he was like a break dancer, and he said he was working as like a DJ, and he would work in like a studio, and he would help like lug all the equipment around and shit like that, and then in exchange, they would let him use the recording studio, and he started rapping and everything else. And, I imagine like a lot of other suburban white kids, man, like when the Beastie Boys were coming up, and, we talked about that before in like the Golden Age of Hip Hop episode, like hip hop, kids just wanted to do that. They wanted to get into that kind of music.
Yeah. I think he's pretty talented. I think he's a hard worker. Being a hard worker in music's half the battle. That was probably all put together by some record company, like making him look like a certain way. And, he was kind of like third base. Remember third base?
Yeah. Pop Goes the Weasel.
Yeah. He kind of reminded me of that, like tongue in cheek, kind of like I'm tough from, like those dudes were.
Yeah. The stuff I was reading about him or a couple of interviews was that he would go into Detroit. Like he started DJing parties, and he would go into like the bad parts of the hood. He was going in there and he was doing these DJs, and then he met this guy D Nice, who was he was in Boogie Down production. He was kind of associated with the KRS-One, and he helped he helped Kid Rock get his first like record deal, and that first those first albums, it was like, I mean, so the breakthrough album, Devil Without a Cause, it went like, I think it went diamond. I think it's like 15 million copies. That was like his third album. He had a couple before that.
Yeah. I mean, he put a good 10 years in before he like made a name for himself on MTV and stuff,
Yeah. You said his work ethic too. One of the interviews I read with him, somebody was saying like, people always ask me, what tips do you have for rock and roll, or how can I become famous? And he was like, dude, you know why I'm still here? Because I worked harder than you did. And he's he's like, I worked my ass off, and he's like, this is where I struggle with, like, is he being a character? You can't tell when he's playing a part or he's being honest, because then he'll talk about like, I'm in the studio at 3:00 in the morning every day, and I work till 6:00 at night writing music.
But I believe it. I believe it. I believe he's that creative. Like he probably has a banging studio in his house.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, dude. And we'll explore this, but it's like, as his sound has changed, it's like, does he like all this music and he's evolving, or is he just like, shit, this is what I can do to make a buck?
Interesting.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
I've heard, I watched some video on YouTube, like another documentary, and it was one, I think the channel was called Rocker or something. And this dude was like, here's 10 reasons why he's the biggest loser in the all time of rock and roll. And he was calling him like he's a used car salesman. He puts the Confederate flag on and likes to say he's a hillbilly now, but he's this upper class white kid, much like he wanted to be this hip hop dude, and he ain't from the streets. So
except for him probably being, in his late teens, early 20s, man, he knew nothing about living in the city life.
Sure.
Yeah.
I
heard that he would crash on people's couches all the time and like live in Detroit, but not like live there, like go home on the weekends kind of thing.
Yeah. He said he got like kicked out of his house a couple times as a kid and some other stuff. And yeah, I heard that too.
Let's hear his first single, dude. It's pretty Vanilla Ice-ish. Let's show to people what he was working with at first.
Yeah, man. This is off his album Grits, Sandwiches, and what the hell's it called? Grits Sandwiches for Breakfast. And this is a song called Pimpin' a Nation.
There's only two types of men, pimps and johns. There's one type of bitch, and that's a hoe.
Goddamn, howdy hooker, this is my world. Goddamn, time to go. Where's my dough? It's starting to snow. All I want is the dollars. I've been a pimp so long, no Gandhi when he had an afro.
Pimp, hold my dick like a holster. All the girls want a Kid Rock poster, and be able to boast they looked at the number one pimp with the number one rap. What's up with that? Well, I'm a cool cat with a rap that's harder than a pimp slap. And because I do so much pimping, one day I'll probably walk with a limp and drive a big Lincoln.
That's really bad.
Yeah. But you can hear how young he is.
Sure.
Totally.
Yeah. And it's funny to look at all the pictures of him on the internet.
He's got the lines in his head and shit.
Yeah. Really skinny dude, and just got the Kid and Play, like white boy version of the box haircut, like straight up in the air. Even that album cover, he's got that dopey, I don't even know, it's like a cartoon of him with the high hair. But
but that was the times.
Sure. Yeah.
That was the times.
And he put out 2 other albums after that I couldn't find anywhere on Spotify. I guess they were, and he said a lot of that too was like, this album, let me back up a second. This album was out on Jive Records. The KRS-One's guy helped him get on. And there was another song on here, Yodeling in the Valley. And it's something about like oral sex on a woman. And college radio stations started playing it. And then all these radio stations started getting fined by the FCC, and his record label dumped him. And they were just like,
hear it?
Yeah, dude, it's equally as terrible, but here.
Break from potatoes.
Unusual, kind of casual, yes. With me, girls are obsessed to get undressed, get fresh, and have me yodel in the valley. And I do it at the drop of a dime. Sometimes going from behind, slowly stroking, no joking. My tongue just keeps on poking, and the best type of Uchi.
Also terrible.
That's what I'm talking about.
So he got.
What kind of song is that, dude?
So that got him. His record label got dropped. He came out with 2 other albums. Like he borrowed money from his dad and put out these albums. And he said he sold, according to him, he sold 14,000 copies of his records, like out of the back of his trunk. Yeah, there's no a trunk of his car. There's no internet. And he said it was just all him just hustling and working his ass off.
I could see that though. A lot of young bucks then were selling, CDs, or they're probably cassettes at the time. They're probably selling nothing but cassettes out of his trunk of his car.
Sure.
A lot of guys were doing that back then.
Something else I was reading too said the other 2 albums that he came out with were like, he did have some samples. He started sampling like some rock music, some country music. So it's like, it's always kind of been like in his thing, like what he did, some of the samples.
He definitely puts his personality in like the songs that he chooses to sample.
Yeah, I agree. He said a lot of his like, his time too, like his music changing. People have been like, how you been able to like change your image so many times? And he's like, honestly, man, I'm just lucky. He's like, I'm just at the right place, the right time. And like you said, though, he's smarter than that, man. He knows his image. And
Yeah, we'll get into it down later, but he plays to the audience, and now he's playing to a different audience. I saw him at Woodstock 99. What he was doing then and what he's doing now is a complete different
sure.
thing.
Oh, yeah, man. Yeah. So that first album, well, the first big album for, I think it was Atlantic, Devil Without a Cause. I mean, that came out in 98. So that's right up against when he goes on Woodstock 99, excuse me. Yeah. And that album went diamond. So that's 10 million copies, 15 million copies. Yeah. It was huge. Yeah. I remember that.
It was huge. Look, God, I remember being at Woodstock 99 and we're like, all right, we're going to go catch Kid Rock. I didn't really think much of him. But, he comes out, it's 100 degrees out, and he's got this big fur on, and he's got a pimp cane, and he's got like a fur hat on, and he comes walking out. He takes the thing off, takes the jacket off, puts his other hat on, and he goes, "My name is Kid." Like,
right.
It was so hype. It was probably one of the best openings I've ever seen. He plays the crowd, man. He didn't help Woodstock out by, getting everybody wound up. I remember standing there, people start getting a little bit more aggressive when Kid Rock, because he starts saying, okay, everybody start throwing shit. Not to hurt people, but just to, I want to see things flying in the air. So everybody start throwing plastic water bottles. And you should have seen it, man. It was like bullets flying through the fucking air. But he told everybody to do it. The whole place was, I got hit plenty of times with water bottles because he said everybody throw shit around. It was weird. It was really weird.
This album was one of like the first, I don't know, new metal albums I remember hearing. But I was still working in the music store at the time. I was 22 when this album came out. It's full of aggression and testosterone, but I also largely don't like new metal, but I do like this album. I still listen to a lot of it.
I consider new metal being like Korn and like Limp Bizkit.
Yeah.
I really saw Kid Rock as a hip hop artist when he first came out. Okay, he had a band, but the Beastie Boys were playing
sure. Yeah, right.
Their instruments at the time, and everything was changing over real instruments besides just a DJ. He found his own sound.
Absolutely.
Like he created like this hip hop, not new metal thing, but like has a rock and roll twist to it. It has more of a, like I don't know, like classic riffs instead of like new metal, like putting, like original riffs in there. Like he would put like, little clips of like Leonard Skinner songs in there and shit for people to recognize.
Yeah. We'll get through that. We'll get to that song, the big Skinner, Warren Zevon song that he did later, but
it was Warren Zevon. I'm sorry.
It's both. It's Werewolves of London and it's Sweet Home Alabama in the same thing. And I got some notes on that too. We'll get up to that, but yeah, dude, this first album, you're right, man. It doesn't have that, I don't know, that funky bass line that Korn had. It is more like he's rapping over like a rock sound.
I was watching the Woodstock 99 concert last night to do some research and reliving that moment. And I noticed he doesn't even have a bass player. He has two guitar players, a drummer, a keyboard player, and a DJ. And he was using the DJ as a bass guitar.
Interesting.
I noticed it last night. I'm like, all right, well, where's his bass player? And then I'm like listening. What was his DJ's name? Uncle Cracker?
Yeah. So he, Uncle Cracker was his DJ. He split off and went solo, and he had like some minor success with a couple tunes in, like early 2000s.
He had those like easy listening, chill songs.
Yeah. They were like
sitting at the beach.
Yes. Driving at the beach. One of his songs always makes me think of like driving around Jersey Shore town in my buddy's Jeep with the doors and the top off, just kind of doing dumb shit, stuff like that.
Yeah. I've been there, bro. I mean, yeah. I think you do dumb shit when you listen to Kid Rock. Like, all right, we're gonna do some dumb shit. Let's listen to Kid Rock.
Right. Yeah. It's, Uncle Kracker was more kind of like a watered down version of a little smoother Kid Rock. But yeah, he was a DJ and then he eventually left and went solo. And I don't know what the hell he's doing now, but.
What was the other single off of? Was it Cowboy?
Yeah. There was I Am the Bulldog was a hit.
I
Cowboy.
like that one.
Yeah.
Let's play something. Play one of them.
Yeah. Here you go.
Like a train, I roll hard, letting off much steam. In the Carhartt flannel, in the dusty jeans, baby. I never was cool with James Dean, but I be hanging tough with my man Jim Beam. I swing low like a ship.
Yeah, I like that song. But, it just seems like Kid Rock has one topic in his songs, and it's Kid Rock.
Yes, he sings about himself a lot.
Yeah, like how dope he is. And he is dope.
Yeah,
but,
he loves singing about how awesome he is and how many records
from the
he's
beginning.
sold. From the very beginning.
Since that first song we listened to on our show today, he was talking about himself. And then the second song, he's talking about himself, oral sex. And then he comes out, my name is Kid. Like, how many times are you going to use that card? I don't know. Maybe
25 years.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't listen to any of his new music. I don't, but I'm sure he still talks about representing his lifestyle or whatever.
Yeah. Yes, he does. I
play the Cowboy song.
Okay.
Give a toast to the sun, drink with the stars, get thrown in the mix and tossed out of bars. Sip the Tijuana, I wanna roam, find Motown, telling fools to come back home. Start an escort service for all the right reasons and set up shop at the top of Four Seasons. Kid Rock and I'm the real McCoy and I'm headed out west, sucker, because I wanna be a cowboy, baby. With a top left back and the sunshine shining. Cowboy, baby.
I dig that song.
I like that too. And again, just still talking about all the money he makes and how famous he is and everything else.
You know what? The biggest memory of that song that I had was when Kid Rock did it at MTV Awards. And he's doing the song and all of a sudden a horse comes out and Joey C's on the fucking horse. The horse is huge and he's this little fucking dude on there. And he's rapping on the fucking horse. It was hysterical.
Yeah, we could talk a little bit. Why don't we talk about Joe C a little bit? Because he kind of became.
God bless Joe C, man. He was dope.
Yeah, man. So he was Joe Kaleha. And, I actually looked up what he had because he was 3'9". He had celiac disease, which is a intestinal inflammation disorder. And he was taking a prednisone for, which is the steroid that you take if you get poison ivy really bad. And that is what stunted his growth as a kid. And,
oh, wow.
And he said this disease, he was taking 60 pills a day just to stay alive. And he, it's kind of sad, man. He said, I read something where he said I would trade all my fame and my money and everything if I just to not have this illness.
Oh, I'm sure.
And he started going to Kid Rock shows. He was a fan. And he said Kid Rock would be on stage. He'd be like, who the hell let this little kid into my concerts? And the kid was middle finger and F-bomb. And he's like, wait, that's actually an adult.
Yeah.
And then he died. He was 26. He died
That's
at his parent. He was staying at his parents' house and he died in his sleep or something. But
imagine all the stuff that Kid Rock gave him. That attention. He became not as well known as Kid Rock, but he was in Kid Rock's, posse.
Yeah, sure.
He was his Flavor Flav,
Yeah, absolutely. I was surprised when I was man, he died 2000, 23 years ago. He passed away.
Man, I remember seeing him and how little tiny he was. It's you until you see it with your own eyes, you're holy shit, He had a shirt on at Woodstock. It says, I'm not a fucking midget.
That's awesome.
And then they he said, and Kid Rock's, all right. We're going to bring out little Jimmy. We're like Jimi Hendrix.
Yeah.
Where's little Jimi Hendrix? And he brings Joey C out in like an American flag, like a hole cut in it. And he's wearing it as like a poncho. And he's got this huge afro on.
That's funny.
Yeah. And Kid Rock's like, I don't know who this kid is, but he likes to smoke a lot of weed.
Kid Rock wore a poncho out of an American flag later too. That gets him in a lot of shit we can talk about. But yeah, man, it's Joe C was only alive. The Devil Without a Cause came out in 98 and Joe C passed away in 2000. So it's just it's unfortunate.
But he gave him a great life, man. He gave him like, the dream of millions to be somebody.
Sure. And Kid Rock didn't care. I mean, it could probably, I don't know, man. Like, you're going to try to take this dude as a serious musician, and he's got like this little person rapping about how big his penis is. And, some people are like, this guy is a fucking cartoon. And Kid Rock, he never has cared.
Well, this is the thing. Like, we were like messaging each other last night. Looking at Kid Rock's band is like looking at a sideshow. Like, it's so different. Like, you got one dude that's a rocker. You got a black girl playing the drums. You got like some geek playing the keyboard, and you got another guitar player with purple hair. You got Uncle Cracker, and then you got Joey C. Like, that's
right.
That's a fucking weird group of band, like,
His drummer too, man, is worth pointing out because he has taken a lot of crap over the years too. People have said he's racist and he's everything else. And he has almost always had black musicians in his band. And he also has a interracial child too. So it's like, I don't know, man, I find that funny when people are like, yeah, he's a racist and all this other stuff.
No, I don't think he's a racist. I just think he's an American. He likes American shit.
He's a jackass. He says some dumb stuff. Like
I'm sure he knows that, but he's in the paper every day, isn't he? Him talking about just Bud Light thought of us to have this show.
His brand recently, his publicity has been more around things he said about other people or brand, the Bud Light thing more than his music recently.
Did you see him at the extreme fighting picture with him? Oh, you sent it to me.
Yeah, with him
and Donald Trump, and he has his own cap on.
Yeah, he's wearing a Kid Rock hat. I think Mike Tyson is with him too.
Yeah, that's a hell of a fucking group right there.
Every interview he does, he's wearing a hat that says like "We the People" on it now, and you can go on his website or you go on Spotify now. They'll sell like merch, and it'll say you can buy all the stuff that he's selling. So,
well, didn't he use that slogan with that race car driver? Brandon,
let's go, Brandon. Yeah,
whatever that was. He was like way on top of that.
I mean, we'll get up to his last album and everything, but yeah, after this album, then I guess his sound kind of took a little bit of a change because after Devil Without a Cause, the next album, Cocky, came out, and that's got like some heavier kind of stuff on it, but it's also got that song Picture on it with Sheryl Crow, which is great. One interview I saw with him, he said when he recorded that, the head of his record label was like, dude, you're going to ruin your career if you put this out. And Sheryl Crow's record label wouldn't let them release that as a single. So he re-recorded it with a country singer called Allison Moorer. And that was the single. But radio stations were like, no, we want to play the Sheryl Crow one. So they just started playing it anyway. And then it went huge. So, and it's like, you can find it. It's on YouTube, the original. It doesn't sound that much different.
I saw Sheryl Crow in concert and she played that fucking song. Yeah, like she don't fucking hate it that much. She fucking plays it in concert.
I think it was a record label, not necessarily.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, it wasn't her. It was the record label because she was on a different label.
On that first record, he did have a ballad on there called God Only Knows. I remember it. But this is a real fucking ballad. Like, he really took a left turn of all that testosterone shit.
Yeah.
And all that pimp and hoe thing. And turn into like, oh, I'm this sensitive guy too. I'm just not this bad boy. I'm a sensitive guy. Play the song.
I put your picture away, sat down and cried today. I can't look at you while I'm lying next to her. I put your picture away, sat down and cried today.
Yeah, man, totally different sound. And,
Totally different. It's a shame we can't play more than 30 seconds because she sounds great on it. They have great harmonies, great chemistry together.
And he's singing. He's not doing that over the top screaming
No.
and shouting. And
He's changing, like a chameleon. Like he knows he has to do something different to stay in the game.
yeah,
All the great people, all the great entertainers change their image on every record, kind of thing.
yeah, he's not the best singer in the world, but
No.
hey.
By no means is he. But here he is, this bad boy, talking about him being lonely in the hotel room.
Dude, I totally get what you're saying. It's totally different, and that song was friggin' enormous for him. How
It was
many?
huge.
It was enormous, and it just kind of one of the, I don't know, second time he's reinvented himself a little bit from the rapper, that stuff we played first, to the Devil Without a Cause, and then this, and then he very slowly starts. I don't know, man. His sound just starts evolving, and he gets more yeehaw and country and everything.
Yeah,
else,
I think this is the point where he changes his whole idea of what Kid Rock's going to be. Besides that Sheryl Crow song on there, I know there was something else that was really heavy.
You never met a motherfucker quite like me.
Yeah,
Yeah,
can we play a
there you
little
go.
bit of that?
Yeah.
Rock was run, sang with shotgun Willie. Went from small time Billy to big time Bobby. From 3-day-old chili to sake with wasabi. I'm home. You never met a motherfucker quite like me. No, not like me. Did I not like me?
Yeah, man, that
He's-
song's got,
he-
I don't know, there's that soulful, the harmony in the background, and
Yeah, but he still has this twangy thing happening in his music. I totally hear maybe hints of steel guitar or something happening with an acoustic guitar on that.
yeah. It's not like he didn't just flip a switch one morning and just go completely country, because there's pieces of it in some of this earlier stuff that he's doing.
Sure. Well, like I said, he's a hick in heart. That's where he grew up. He's how can he not have his culture and his music? I think once he saw an opportunity, he's like, I'm going to show people that I'm more than just this rapper, whatever. But that song, again, he's talking how dope he is.
Sure. Yeah, right.
Right.
And it's, there's tons of songs across all of his catalog where he's doing that. He's singing about how awesome he is. Yeah. And then, so the next album that he came out with, the album Kid Rock, and all these have gone platinum too, up until,
Oh, sure.
yeah,
Oh,
the
yeah.
last, his first 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 or 6 albums were all went at least platinum, if not more. That album Cocky went 5 times platinum. The one after this, Kid Rock, went platinum. Rock and Roll Jesus goes 5 platinum and went number 1. So
Rock and
all
roll
these
Jesus.
hits. Yeah, again, and he's rock and roll Jesus.
Is
But-
he on the cover with a crucifix or some
No, it's just a black cover.
shit? AC/DC back in black.
Yeah, pretty much. But his, the next album that he came out with he covered Feel Like Making Love, and he's got that song with Hank Williams Jr., Cadillac Pussy. Yeah, so he's getting a little more.
Yeah.
Yeah, I'll play a little bit of that.
Yeah, play that song, dude.
I mean a little missy with an attitude. I played it smooth, no need to be rude. I stopped the ship, I stepped off like Chewie. Ran some game like Louie. Talked her on the bus, talked her out of her shorts, no lie, I'm here to report. She has a Cadillac pussy.
Holy shit.
And Hank Williams Jr. is great too.
Yeah, but Cadillac Pussy, and that's they should have called the album that.
Right.
That's brilliant.
Yeah.
Man, look at all so far I have not heard nothing but him like insult like the whole women gender thing, call him hoe and
Oh yeah,
all
absolutely.
this shit.
Yeah.
Way
Yeah.
more than Motley Crue could ever do, and or disrespect women. And we talk about how maybe that keeps them out of the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. And this guy inducted 3 people, right, in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame.
Yeah, he inducted Aerosmith, Bob Seger, and I forget who the other one was.
But he's accepted. He could sit there and talk about all that
Skinner.
shit.
He inducted Skinner as well.
God, I mean, that's his gig.
And Cheap Trick. Huh. Okay.
So he's very accepted by the industry.
Yeah, he'll never get in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame, nor do I think he really deserves to be in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's not doing any, he's not amazing songwriter or anything else.
He's fun.
Yeah. It's just fun. It's shit to listen to. His recent stuff, I just listen to it when I'm sitting in my backyard around a fire pit. But
yeah, I mean, if I was over, I'd be like, turn that shit on. Let's hear it.
Yeah, sure.
But can I point out the Pussy song?
Yeah, please.
Can we acknowledge that he abandoned rap in that song?
Oh, absolutely. Sure.
And he just sang through that whole song.
Sure. Yeah, right. It's a good point, man. Like, so his sound is evolving a little bit and he isn't rapping. And Hank Williams Jr. has a reputation of being outlaw country.
Hell yeah. He comes from his father's loins, man.
Sure.
His father was the original outlaw.
Yeah. And he did some stuff later with Hank. He's got a song, Redneck Paradise, that came out a little more recently with Hank Williams Jr. on it as well. And, yeah, he did the cover of Feel Like Making Love. He's singing on that too. He's not rapping. And, I don't know this album entirely well, if it's got some other, some rapping on it, but there's a song on here like Hillbilly Stomp. And he's totally starting to make that move musically.
Can we hear his version of Making Love?
Sure,
just
man.
To see how he does with it.
Here you go. It's not real good.
No, if this was the Gong Show, I would have gonged that.
Yeah, that song can wind up in the electric chair today.
I mean, he's, I don't know. That sounds like he's like jumping the shark a little bit.
It's like bad karaoke. It's like he's trying too hard.
Yeah. It's a good analogy, bro.
He also, what the hell is that song where he samples Metallica?
Oh yeah,
American Badass.
Oh, I remember American Badass. Let me hear it.
Yeah, and I've set up and poured out this stage with my own 2 hands. We've traveled this land, packed tight in minivans, and all this for the fans, girls, money, and fame. I played their game and had to scream my name. I will show no shame. I live and die for this, and if I come off soft, fix you on this.
Are you scared?
Devil without a cause, and I'm back with the beaver hats and Ben Davis slacks. 30-pack of stroll, 30-pack of hoes. No Rogaine in the propane flows. The chosen one, I'm the living proof with the gift of gab from the city of truth. I jabbed and stabbed and not crit.
That's sad but true. Yeah, right on.
And it's got references to, he does the My Name is Kid, and then he quotes like 2 of his other songs.
He put like Rogaine. He rapped something and he put Rogaine in there.
Yeah.
I wonder what he paid Metallica to sample them. That's like on another level of money. Like Metallica don't do shit for free. I mean, are you looking at?
I'm trying to look it up. They said he actually Metallica was never even really down with letting anybody sample their stuff. He had to pay so much money that they were like, okay, cool, but I don't see what they.
It had to be a lot of fucking money, man. Metallica don't fuck around.
Yeah, I totally agree. Yeah, so sampling from other songs like that has always been a big thing, and even like Cowboy samples the bass of the "Boys Don't Cry" by the band, and he got sued over that. I've read that.
Oh, really?
Ba with the Ba's got a bass line from another song that he borrowed. He's got that song All Summer Long. Sampling other famous songs has, that Metallica song, that was huge when that came out because it was sampling Metallica.
Let me ask a question. Is his original band playing on these later records?
Yes, all of them. So the album Born Free, when he goes like really country, is a different band. But we'll get up to that. But then he gets his original band back together and he's still with them now.
Oh, okay.
So a little, I'm not comparing him to Springsteen, but a little bit like, he fires the band, does something else, and then gets the band back together like Springsteen did with the E Street Band.
Because I hate to say it, they're not really that good of a band. He could definitely have like better musicians up there with him.
Oh, you know what, dude? I forgot to mention it too. He can play all the instruments in his band. He's a self-taught musician and he knows how to drum, play guitar, play bass, play keyboards, and all that.
Yeah,
kind of stuff.
I'd seen him at Woodstock. He did everything. He DJ'd behind his back and, all that shit. Okay, he can do it, but does he do it well? I could fucking do everything he does, but I don't do it well.
Talking about the other song, man, that has the big samples in it, All Summer Long, that had Werewolves of London and Sweet Home Alabama by Skinner. I read something from him. He said, like, when he used to go out to the club, he would hate techno beats, like the He said he would hear these, like, certain DJs would play, like, they would sample hit, like, rock songs and turn and play them in the clubs. And he was like, dude, that's really cool. And he's like, maybe I could do that and take samples from two different songs and put them together. He said he got permission from Skinner and he got permission from Zevon's estate to do this. It's not like he just ripped it off, but
money talks, baby. Money talks.
Sure. And I've heard people, slam the shit out of this song for, all he's doing is just taking two different songs and putting them together. But it's a good summertime song.
The first time I heard it was really confused about which song it was. I was like, wait a minute. Whoa. Let's hear it.
Yeah, here you go.
I'm in northern Michigan. Splashing through the sandbar, talking by the campfire. It's the simple things in life, like when and where. We didn't have no internet, but man, I never will forget the way the moonlight shined upon her hair. And we were trying different things, and we were smoking funny things.
It's just a summertime song, man. I like it.
He's so smart, man. Let's take two songs that people already love and put them in another song and people will love it again. Like, that's brilliant. It's like, it's already a win before it was even put out. It's a win. Like, those songs are killer.
I remember Howard Stern talking about this when it came out and Fred Norris going like, go just pick any two songs. And somebody rattled off two classic rock songs. He's like, I'll come back tomorrow with the beats put together into another song. And he did. I don't remember what it was, but yeah, the thing Kid Rock though will say about this was like, nobody else did this before me. Yeah. You're all like, oh, anybody could do that.
Yeah.
But you didn't.
The closest thing that I could do is Run DMC mixing Aerosmith.
Sure. And that song's got 400 million downloads or listens on Spotify. So it's, somebody's listening to it.
People love it. It's, I like it. It's a summer song. I would put it on my playlist for fun. It's kind of corny. Like, it's corny as shit.
He's corny, and he admits corny. I watched some video the other day. He was bragging about driving a Rolls Royce with a Waffle House license plate holder on it. It's over the top, and it's, he's just having fun with it. You're not listening to this shit to hear cutting edge stuff like Pink Floyd or, even, innovative, weird stuff like Kate Bush. I'm sure the Kate Bush fans are going to blow us up, but
he made a right move when he made that song, because you really didn't hear much of him. And then he put that thing out and rekindled his popularity.
Yeah, I felt like that was like he's back.
Maybe this is a good time to take a break.
Yeah, dude, that sounds great. Why don't we take a break and then we'll come back and we'll talk about the second half of his career and we'll keep on rolling.
Right on. Stick around.
Prisoners of Rock and Roll is sponsored by McCusker's Tavern at 17th and Shunk Streets in Philadelphia. There's something for everyone on the beer list and the jukebox at McCusker's. It's minutes from the sports stadiums in Philly, making it a great place to stop by for a few drinks before or after a concert or a game. Come see for yourself why everyone from Philadelphia Magazine to Playboy has called it one of the best dive bars in the city. Visit them at 17th and Shunk Streets in Philadelphia or on Facebook. That's McCusker's Tavern. Do you know that you can change your style just as much as Kid Rock by wearing socks from Boldfoot Socks? I don't believe I just said that and rhymed it all without messing it up.
Yeah, dude.
They make socks for every occasion, from socks you can wear to work to socks you can wear while working out. Every single pair is made in America and using material that was grown in America. On top of that, they're a veteran-owned business that donates 5% of their proceeds to veteran charities. We are so happy to support them and have them support us, so go check them out at boldfoot.com. We're just having a good time, just talking some tunes. And I think we're at the point of his career, too, where he goes more country. He's got the album Born Free that comes out. That album comes out in 2010. That album was produced by Rick Rubin. And Rick Rubin convinced him to move away from the band and really kind of embrace that more country feel.
It was a smart move.
I read a review of it in Far Out magazine called this album inane bumpkin-themed nonsense. But it's like... Again, I like this album. I don't even need to keep justifying it. You fucking like what you like. And
for the history of music, I think country music's the biggest music of all time. I think he saw country coming back into the mainstream and he was like, okay, I'm going to change. And my target audience is going to be these, Confederate. How can I say, like when we were in a record store working, they would target a certain audience of people by like their promotions. I think he saw a great opportunity and he was famous by then and he can afford to make some samples and make shit happen for himself and get them back on the radio.
Absolutely. I'm in marketing for my real job and you figure out who you're selling to and what are you going to sell them. And he totally decided, hey, I'm going to go after that country music band. And you're right, there's probably more country music listeners than there are rock and roll fans these days. It's a bigger genre. And he made that switch. And it largely seems like the country music establishment in like Nashville and,
they accepted him like open arms. By now, like his mouth starts running about whatever Kid Rock wants to talk about like that week, maybe becoming a celebrity more than a musician at this point.
Yeah, he lives outside of Nashville, Tennessee. I said the Waffle House on the bumper sticker on the Rolls Royce, pretty redneck stuff. And yeah, he's got his, whatever he said, 200 acres and all of his guns and all of his other Southern kind of shit. But he does start wearing the Confederate flag on some stuff and he took a lot of crap for it. You mentioned Joe C. wearing the poncho out of the American flag. He did that at the Super Bowl at the halftime. He was wearing an American flag with just a hole cut out of it. And people were like, dude, that's desecrating the flag and all this other kind of stuff. And the only reason you don't still hear about that is because it happened the same year at the Janet Jackson incident. She came out later and then she had her wardrobe malfunction. Right. She had her issue and then that just overshadowed everything. But he did do that. I had totally forgotten about it, that he had done that. But I was reading up about his controversies and everything else. But,
and I'm sure he knew exactly what he was doing then. People noticed. We're talking about it.
Absolutely. The title track on Born Free, too, is I'll play a little bit of that because that's, like just called Born Free. Here you go.
There were some great chord progressions in there that, remind me of Bob Seger. I thought it gave a very good attempt of sounding like Seger and Springsteen.
Seeger's a
Yeah.
great point, also from Detroit. And Seeger's actually on this album, too. He does a song with Sheryl Crow and Bob Seger.
It's just he's like adopting that Americana rock and roll sound of what he's turning into now.
Yeah.
With the more country, but he's putting like Americana rock and roll out with that song.
That's a perfect way to describe it, that it's Americana rock and roll. It's like, I don't know, Mellencamp on steroids.
Yeah, absolutely. He's singing, but it's like Pink Houses, man.
Yeah, dude. So that album comes out, and there's a couple other artists, like Zach Brown is on here. He does a song with the country artist Martina McBride and the rapper T.I., like on the same song. So he's trying some different shit. And
yeah, I mean, he's like, again, he's famous enough. He can have anybody he wants on his record. And, and he explores, like, and he has a wide variety of different artists on his record, like from every section of the record store.
Yeah,
because I think he is a fan of all music.
I think he is too, and I don't think he's necessarily just like cashing in or trying to something like that. I think he is a fan of this music. He mentions Motown in one of his songs. I'm like, you can't grow up in that part of the country and not be a fan of Motown music.
Sure.
So
yeah, absolutely. The Motor City, and again, that's where Ted Nugent's from.
You're right. The Motor City Madman.
Uncle Ted, he's his own worst enemy.
Yeah. Similarly, all the shit that was going on around Bud Light and Kid Rock, Ted Nugent's been spouting off a lot about it too. And sometimes I'm like, dude, I just want to hear you play Stranglehold Man and just be quiet. Regardless of what I think of his opinion.
He doesn't even drink. He's like, oh, I don't drink. I don't do drugs like that. What the fuck do you care what's on Bud Light? Whatever.
Yeah.
Did Kid Rock say, I'm not selling Bud Light at my concerts?
I don't think so. I don't know if his bar, because he has that big ass, it's literally called Kid Rock's Big Ass Honky Tonk on downtown Nashville. And I don't know if they've stopped selling Bud Light or not. I can look.
That'd be dumb as shit. Because people even asked me at the bar if we were going to stop carrying Bud Light. I was like, why the fuck would I do that?
Right.
You think I give any damns about anything in that what is being said about Bud Light or what they want to do with their advertisements? I don't give a shit. I don't even like their beer. I don't care.
Right. Yeah. It looks like they're still selling it. Well, you mentioned selling beer at his concerts. Part of Kid Rock's thing was, remember he went on that one tour and he was like, he called it the best night ever tour. And the tickets were capped out at $20. I think parking was either free or it was capped out, and all the beer was like $4. And he was like, I remember he went on Stern and he was talking about this, and he was like, if I don't sell out any of these venues, I lose money. But it's not, he's like, I don't want to go out on the road and automatically be like, okay, cool, the tickets are so expensive, if it's half full, I'm going to be rich. He was like, it's on me to put on an awesome show and have people come with, and if not, I take the risk, not the music venue.
If the venue, shit out of that.
Yeah, he's like, if the venue, up front is going to pay me $500,000, and if I don't sell any tickets, fuck it, what do I care? I'm still getting paid. He was like, no, I'll take the risk. And he was like, negotiating all like the t-shirt sales and stuff itself to keep the price down. And I remember we went, and a beer was cheaper than a bottle of water. My wife and I. It was like, it was
everybody
like light, but
everybody must have been wasted. Holy shit.
Yeah. And it's, I don't know, I've seen him 3 or 4 times in concert, and I saw him with like Kool and the Gang one time, and I saw
that's cool.
Yeah, it was awesome. And he's got the pyrotechnics in the jumpsuit, and he's running all over the stage and doing his. It's just a show, man. It's I said it's partially a sideshow.
I saw him in '99. I know what his crowd were, a bunch of bros. Then what has his crowd turned into when his country music is like in the spotlight?
I saw him outside in the summer. I think it was on that tour, the Best Night Ever tour. And I remember a dude wearing a Kid Rock hockey jersey. The back, the number was 0. And then the name on the back said "Fucks Given." And then I saw him indoors at the Wells Fargo Center. And there was a dude in front of me who looked like Santa Claus, who had the beard and a Santa hat on. And I wound up taking a selfie with him. And then some other guy sitting directly in front of me was doing bumps of cocaine off of his car keys, and just turned around and was like, "Here, do you want some?" And I was like, "No, dude, like just." I've never been offered coke at a concert before, particularly by some dude that I didn't even talk. He just turned around and was like, "Hey, do you want some?"
Hey, this is the thing. People who do drugs thinks everybody does drugs.
Yeah, I guess
swear
so,
to God.
man.
I swear to God, that's true. I never did any cocaine in my life, but people that do coke think everybody does it. It's ridiculous.
Yeah, we had lower level seats, and they were like 10 rows off the floor or something like that. And the guy were like, "Wow, that guy's really just doing a bump right off of his keys, right in front of the crowd." And just, I don't know if he heard me. He just turned around and was like, "Hey, what's up?" I'm like, I'm good, man. Thank you. Thanks.
I'm going to tell a story, but you can cut it out if you want to.
Okay.
A very good friend of mine was a big time cocaine dealer in Philadelphia.
Okay.
And he used to supply all the bands that came through Philadelphia with their coke. And he said one of the greatest guys he came across was Kid Rock. Like, he treated his drug dealers with respect.
Oh, well, that's a man of the people.
But I heard straight from the guy, he's a cool motherfucker to be around. I don't know.
When we were in Nashville for our honeymoon, we went into this dive bar called Santa's Pub, which is just a double wide trailer. It's the diviest dive bar I've ever gone into. And it's owned by this guy who's a retired house painter. It's this really long beard. And he calls himself Santa. We were the only ones in there. And we walked in, and Kid Rock had a beer out at the time. And my wife ordered a beer, one of Kid Rock's beers. And we were talking about him. He said he was going to run for Congress or something. And this guy Santa was like, "Bobby ain't running for no Congress." And we're like, "Bobby?" And he's like, "Yeah, Bobby comes in here all the time." And this guy Santa, he pulled out his phone and he was showing us all the pictures. Here's Kid Rock in the bar, and he's like, "There's see that picture over there? There used to be a mirror there." And Kid Rock came in and threw a bottle of tequila through it and trashed my place. And he's like, this Santa's Pub is famous for having like karaoke every night. And he's like, at one time Kid Rock came in and he was singing karaoke, and everyone all drunk is coming up to him like, "Man, you sound just like Kid Rock." And he was like, "Oh yeah, imagine that." Like, there's some Kid Rock song, one of his newer songs. He's got a line in there like, "I'm singing karaoke in a double wide," and it's like because of that bar. But then this guy Santa was showing, he's like, "Here's a picture on my phone of the guys from ZZ Top in here, and here's the Zac Brown band in here." It was super cool, and we were in there for an hour and a half just talking. I have a picture of my wife and I with the guy Santa like framed hanging in my house. But
that's awesome.
Yeah,
I mean, I dig that Kid Rock promotes himself as one of the people. He may be like, "I'm dope, I'm this, I'm that." He's just making music, but he's hanging out at these like local bars, and we look up to see if he's donated money or if he's involved in any giving back at all.
Yeah, there's a thing called the Kid Rock Foundation that gives money to disadvantaged kids. Kid Rock Foundation looks like it does a lot of stuff in Detroit, the Food Bank of Tennessee. I also know he does a lot of stuff with the troops, like the USO. He's always on the road.
That's great.
Yeah,
that's awesome.
Says he donated 1,000 meals to people in Western Michigan.
Hopefully he does things and not let anybody know about it.
Said he's done some USO stuff, and he's like he's gone overseas and like personally like served meals to the troops. He went over there at Christmas one time, and he's got like a Santa hat on, and he's like working in the chow line, like serving Christmas meals to people. So
I think he's on a level that he is humble by doing shit like that. I love seeing the good in people, and here's the American badass. And I love hearing him helping the troops.
And there's not a lot of like patriotism in music anymore.
No,
and he definitely does. I mean, there is a lot of patriotism in country music, but not in a lot of rock and roll. And he's always just kind of embraced that kind of stuff. And, But then you start spilling into his politics and all that other kind of shit.
Yeah, he's his own worst enemy. If he could just somebody take his Twitter away from him, somebody take his.
Yeah, I got some songs from some of his later stuff too. Like here's a song off the album First Kiss called Johnny Cash. And he's also really big in like just making either he's sampling songs or he references other artists. He's always trying to tie it in, which also probably it helps sell his stuff. I'm scrolling through his stuff and I'm like, oh, cool. He's got a song, Johnny Cash. I love Johnny Cash. I'll listen to that. Here you go.
I think I hear a tad of auto-tune on that.
Yes, I do too. Yeah. He's not a good singer, so I think they probably run that through the computer to knock the highs and lows off.
Absolutely. He needs all the help he can get.
I agree, man. He covered Sugar Pie Honey Bunch.
Did he really?
Yeah, it's also not real good, but here you go.
You come and you go, leaving just your picture behind. And I've kissed it 1,000 times. When you snap your finger or wink your eye, I come running to you. I'm tied to your apron strings, and there's nothing that I can do. I can't help myself.
Yeah, that's no good.
I mean, that's very, very different than the Funk Brothers playing that shit.
Yeah, that's pretty soulless to me. Again, it's like another bad karaoke song.
He really is. He really does. Like a glorified karaoke guy, man.
Yeah, no good. Maybe we can wrap up by just talking about some of his latest stuff that he's done. His last album came out in 2022, Bad Reputation. And there's a song on there called Don't Tell Me How to Live. And it's so funny that when it came out, the video is like he's flying on a giant middle finger through the air. And Weird Al Yankovic actually he put something on like his Instagram. He's like, this video is not me making fun of Kid Rock. This is actually like a Kid Rock video. He's got a song on here, We the People. And this is where he's just gone full in the deep, he's screaming like, fuck Fauci and let's go Brandon and all the, here you go.
Yeah, let me hear this.
We the people, and all we do, reserve the right to scream, fuck you! Wear your mask, take your pills, now a whole generation's mentally ill. Man, fuck Fauci. But COVID's near, it's coming to town. We gotta act quick, shut our borders down. Joe Biden does, the media embraces. Big Doc does it, and they call them racist. We the people. Let's go, Brandon. We the people.
What the fuck is that?
That's he spent too much time.
Jesus Christ.
He spent too much time at his house during
He's
COVID.
definitely rapping. He's rapping again on that shit. He's fucking pissed.
Yeah. And that he's just gone full in the deep end with the political stuff. And
Holy
just
what was the other song he had? I don't know if it's on this album. It was called Amen.
Oh,
And
yeah. That was from
I
you
sent
were
it
like,
to you.
Yeah.
And he just says a few lines in there that are like, what the fuck is he thinking by saying this?
Yeah, that was on Rock and Roll Jesus. We could play a little bit of that too.
Natural disasters, all these wolves and sheep-clothed pastors. Now, goddamn it, I'm scared to send my children to church. And how can we seek salvation when our nation's race relations got me feeling guilty of being white? But faith in human nature, our creator and our savior, I'm no saint, but I believe in what is right. Come on now, amen.
That's some dumb shit.
I don't know, man. That's a good summation of his music. Sometimes he's got the Jesus reference. He's starting to make some.
He's got the Troops reference in there.
Right.
He's throwing it all in there. Cold beer. Shit.
I think that's pretty much his career, man. So what do you think, man? Does he suck?
I'm scared of him. Yes, he sucks.
Okay. I like him. I don't know if I'd call it a guilty pleasure, but
I get it. No, I think he's very talented. He's more creative than I'll ever be. He's great. Yeah, he really is. But in what I think he sucks.
okay.
And I have respect for him. Nothing as a person, whatever he wants to do, knock himself out. I really don't care. That doesn't affect me one way or the other about his politics shit. I just don't care. But his music at the end of the day, especially what he's doing now, it sucks. He sucks.
Okay. That's fair enough. Yeah. His last album, I'm not a big fan of. It was a little too much for me, but I like his music more than you do.
I saw him in his prime, and I said it, dude. It was one of the best openings I've ever fucking seen at Woodstock 99.
Yeah. When
he came out. And, I think he's a great performer. I think he's creative. He's talented. He's like that. But I just can't sit right by saying he doesn't suck because, on a level, he sucks.
Yeah. He's never going to be, I don't see him ever getting in the Rock and Roll Hall of Fame. He's never going to be remembered as this all-time great rock and roll person or this country music person or anything else.
He'll be remembered jokingly, especially if he keeps on going the route that he is.
Yeah, he's like a boardwalk t-shirt now.
He'll be on South Park, they'll make fun of him on South Park soon.
Well, he was in Joe Dirt too, pretty much playing himself.
That was all. He was great in Joe Dirt. Remember, he was like, Def Leppard sucks.
Yeah. Hey, we didn't even get into his personal shit. He was married to Pamela Anderson for 5 minutes, and then he got in a fist fight with Tommy Lee, and he got arrested, getting in a fight outside of a Waffle House in Georgia, and he's got all that kind of shit going on too.
I never said he doesn't fuck around. He don't fuck around. I never said he didn't. That's what I'm saying. I'm kind of scared to say, he sucks because he may be coming after me. I don't know.
Right. He's going to buy you a Bud Light shirt and want to shoot you.
I sell plenty of Bud Light at the bar. He's not coming to the bar.
All right, man. I think we're ready to move on to the second half of the show. So here's our. There it goes. So I got some feedback on our John Williams episode. Got an email from Brian H. Hey there. I just want to drop a quick note to let you know how much I enjoyed your recent episode on the music of John Williams. This was my first time listening to you, but as someone who grew up with his iconic film scores, it was great to hear a deep dive into his life and his work. I appreciated your discussion of his early career and how he developed his signature sound. It's amazing to think about the impact he's had on pop culture, and your episode did a great job highlighting his contributions. Keep up the great work. Cool.
Thank you so much, man. Thanks for listening.
Yeah, we were a little concerned that people were going to listen to something like that, the John Williams episode, but it did okay.
I was afraid that people would look at the title of the show and be like, "Who's John Williams?" And I'm not, I thought it was a great show.
And we mostly talk about rock and roll, so going outside our comfort zones. And then we got a YouTube comment from SunWizard37 on our clip about Led Zeppelin ripping off the Richie Valens estate in Boogie with Stu. I had no idea about the connection to Richie Valens' estate, and it was really eye-opening to hear about the legal issues surrounding that song. I'm looking forward to checking out more of your content and learning even more obscure musical trivia. Your discussion was insightful, and I appreciate the depth and breadth of the topics that you cover. Cool.
Great,
also,
man.
Thank you, and thanks for not, we take a lot of shit on YouTube from people, so that was cool, and I'm sure we're going to take some shit after this episode. I'm sure the Kate Bush fans, again, will be like, you like Kid Rock, and you don't like Kate Bush, but, whatever. Music
Kate
news.
Bush drinks Bud Light.
Right.
Whatever. That doesn't mean anything.
Music news. I got two things. First one, New Jersey's governor announced that September 23rd will forever be known as Bruce Springsteen Day in New Jersey moving forward.
What's the date?
September 23rd. It's Springsteen's birthday.
All right. Are like the post offices going to be closed that day? And
I
shit?
probably not. Still kind of cool. They've had Clarence Clemens Day in New Jersey since he died. It's about time Springsteen gets his. Springsteen just ended his the first leg of his tour this past
I heard
weekend.
it was great. He played Philly. I heard it was awesome.
I heard it was a little formulaic compared to what he normally does. I don't know, man. I think people are starting to complain. It's almost like the expectation becomes so high. It's like the last season of like Game of Thrones, and people inevitably bitch about it.
Yeah, somebody said that he played a lot of off his new cover album, which is, what the hell? They're only like 3-minute songs. Who cares?
And he's still doing 3 hours, and he's 73 years old. And, I'm going to both shows in Philly in the summer. I know you said you're going to one of them too. And
yeah,
it'll be great. Those are home games for him. So
I can't wait. I can't wait, dude.
Yeah, I'm looking forward to it. And then the other piece of news I had, I thought this was interesting. Geddy Lee announced that he has a memoir coming out called My Effin' Life. It's going to come out it's coming out in November. I was like, yeah, dude, I'd probably read that. I like music biographies.
He's a brilliant dude. I'm sure his life has been very exciting.
And he's written 2 other books. One was called Geddy Lee's Big, Beautiful Book of Bass. And then he wrote another book called My Life as a Prog Rock Obsessive, which was like a collection of essays. But I was like, yeah, dude, comes out in November. I'll probably check it out. I'll grab it from the library and read it. It'd be interesting to hear his stuff. And, doing that episode on Do They Suck or Not totally changed my opinion of Rush. And I definitely appreciate them more. I was actually listening to them in the car the other day. My wife was like, what, you're listening to Rush? I was like, yeah, I dig it now.
I would like to give a shout out to one of our listeners.
Sure.
I don't know if she's far enough into our seasons of, she's going episode by episode, but I like to thank Mrs. Coolin, Mrs. Barb Coolin, who's been listening to all of our shows and always posting things on my Facebook of how much she's enjoying it. So she's a very old friend of mine. She's a wonderful person. But we have great listeners, and I appreciate them all, especially the ones that I know.
Awesome. Appreciate the support. It's time for the electric chair, and the electric chair is where we kill a song for being terrible. And this week, I actually asked Josh over at Boldfoot Socks if he had a song for the electric chair, because I know he's a big music fan.
He's a great dude.
Good people, man. Good company. So we're happy to have him on board. And he said, well, discussing the electric chair with my girlfriend, Chelsea, she said that there's only one song that makes me groan and quickly change the station, and that is What It's Like by Everlast.
Go.
Said that song hurts me in my core for some reason. So please do me the honor of putting that song out of its misery. Looking forward to the new episode, Josh.
Here's another guy that was a rap guy, and he took his turn in rock and roll.
Yeah.
I hated this song.
Yeah, all right, let's just kill it.
We sentence you to death.
I liked that song. I liked that album. I haven't listened to anything that he did in a long time. I don't even know if he's still making music. It doesn't look like 2018 with his last album. Yeah, I haven't listened to any of his shit in a long time, but
yeah, I didn't like his whole rock and roll run. If people don't know, he was one of the guys at House of Pain, Jump Around, and then he went acoustic.
He had like a heart attack. It was a huge hit. I mean, that album sold a ton.
I like the name of the record.
Whitey Ford Sings the Blues.
Yeah.
He covered one of the Johnny Cash songs, I think Ring of Fire or something. It's so terrible. I'll have to save it for another. It was really bad. All right, man. So I think that is it for episode number 62. Thanks so much for spending some time with us as we talked about Kid Rock. And if you want to hear all the music we talked about today, we put together a Spotify playlist for every episode, and there's a link to it in the show notes. And while you're in the show notes, you can find links to our website, our email address, our social media pages, and a map to McCusker's Tavern in Philadelphia in case you're in town and want to stop by. So that's it, man. We'll be back in 2 weeks. We got to circle up, figure out what we want to talk about next, and we'll get after it. Thanks so much for listening, everybody.
Keep on rocking.
Peace out.